Greetings, everybody. The last time we looked at how to come up with your course plan or your table of content, organize it in such a way that will be ready for uh, your e-content. We discussed in particular, I showed the example, this example, where we had a course or a subject called Form 3 Computer Science. And I divided it into three parts: introduction. Uh, then the course actually had two modules, but the introduction was dedicated to describe the target definitions, target audience definitions, and so on and so forth. More or less getting the learner's feet wet. Then the modules, diving to the real modules that were actually given by the ministry were two: operating systems and networks, application packages, and algorithms. And I told you, I went in, I explained to you guys how I break down those the syllables for that module or into different lessons. I did that. Now, if you notice, I added two folders. We have folder module one resources. This is where I'll drop in the resources, and module exercise files. I'll drop my exercise files in here. Now, today the objective is to direct you into how I go now to start really building after I've done my organization or my table of content, my plan. How I go around really putting uh, content into this each lesson. Remember, I told you that these lessons will in the end become videos. This PowerPoint slides in the end will become videos because I'm going to use Camtasia to record as I speak or giving these lessons to the learners. Now, I want to take an example of a particular lesson that I just did to demonstrate to you what I've done and how this will be your next step. So, in this particular case, the lesson is called Computer Networks, and this was according to the ministry's breakdown. This was actually to me a very broad lesson, so I kind of divided it into two, where we have computer networks and then exploiting a computer network. Now, that's it. So here I have my lesson introduction. I give a reminder of a keyword or key definition that the ministry expects the learners to know as far as this particular lesson is concerned or particular lesson objective is concerned. Next, I describe my lesson objectives. This is exactly taken from what the ministry gave. So, for example, I just copied this. Since I said it was a huge lesson, this is actually the lesson: exploiting a computer network platform. I divided it into two: computer network and then exploiting a computer network, intentionally, so that I could break down this into two lessons and then give teach them separately. Now, so these are the objectives of the lesson, and you can see here, describe the different type of networks, describe different type of networks, evaluate important and limitations of networks, evaluate important. So it's the same lesson objective I've taken. Next, I highlight what specialized software. If you notice, the ministry, as far as resources are concerned, the various resources that the ministry advises the instructors to use to teach this particular lesson. And here I have a specialized software I've chosen. It's called Cisco Packet Tracer. And I'll choose a textbook. I'll put the title of the book here and the author. Now, and if I have any other resources that will be used for this lesson, I'll put them here, just so that each and every learner always comes, has a general overview of what is supposed to be attained and the resources that he or she might want to go across, if at all, for more details or more about concepts and things concerning this lesson. Now, why did I choose Cisco Packet Tracer? This lesson is actually computer networks, and when I looked at all the lesson objectives, Cisco Packet Tracer, which is a specialized software, was one of the simulation softwares or simulations that I think would be able to allow the learner to have an experience or a feel of the concepts if I thought we use it for demonstrations. We're going to talk about that later. The next reason why I chose Cisco Packet Tracer is because it also comes with a mobile phone version, which means that even if a kid does not have a computer or a laptop, he can install the mobile phone version and still do the exercises as any other kid who has a laptop. He or she can ask for a phone from her guardian or parents and so on, and do this exercise. Um, in a worst case scenario, the instructor or facilitator in class can also use his or her mobile phone in demonstrating and allowing these kids to experience all this. Assuming, since we all know mobile phones are really, really everywhere right now, everyone has one. So next, what I tried to do, I went on to break down my objectives into different slides so that I make sure that all my slides I have cover all these objectives. So I try to, some of the objectives I put them under one slide, some of them I separate them or whatever, but I try to make sure my slides contain all these objectives. So each slide I know, okay, this slide I'm supposed to tackle this objective there, this slide I tackle this one, and so on and so forth. So for example, if you look at here, I have building a computer network. I realized though, if you look at here, the objectives here, there's really nothing about building computer networks here, building. However, this particular slide here, I'm going to use Packet Tracer to build a computer network, therefore, and then in the process teach kids about network equipments, network medias, and so on and so forth. I'll talk about that. So how do we build a star? How do we build a ring? Blah 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 blah. Now, the next thing is I want to talk about is, after going through dividing my slides into the various objectives, I moved on to a last slide which has case study or demonstration. And on this slide, what I really asked myself, or what is my guiding principle, was what demonstrations should I do that would cover most or all of the lesson's objectives. So then that's my guide. Then I come up with this demonstration that I'm going to do demonstrations that's going to allow us to install Packet Tracer on a computer and on an Android mobile phone, intentionally, so that the kids know how to do that. If at all they're at home, they can do that by themselves so that they can work with their environment. Two, I'm going to use Packet Tracer to build different types of computer networks. I'm going to use Cisco Packet Tracer to build a different type of network topologies. I'm going to use Packet Tracer to configure computers within a network. Knowing by the time I do all that, most of the objectives they would be able to see and have a better understanding of what's going on. So if you look at all this lesson, now I'm still at the design phase. What I want to draw your attention to as an instructor is that right now at this phase, I'm still at the expositive methods. I'm using expositive methods to teach the learner, because the learner is grabbing new concepts and he will need to memorize some of the things and so on and so forth. So I'm using the expositive methods. For those of you who have no idea what expositive methods are, give me a minute. Oh, sorry. In the last presentation, last week's presentation, we described the various teaching methods and e-learning methods for learning and so on and so forth. And one of the methods was for instructions was expositive. And let me just show that. So here you go. The design of an e-learning course will involve using a combination of following instructional methods: expositive methods, presentations, case studies, work example, demonstrations. So I'm here. However, so at this phase, I'm trying to, and as you can see, expositive methods are ideal when you want to teach new concepts, ideas, and theories. So that's what I'm doing. At this part of the lesson, or at this stage of each lesson, I'm focusing on expositive methods, teaching new concepts, making sure that they can retain or memorize what I'm teaching, the new concepts and theories. We'll discuss later about, in the other steps, we'll discuss later what I do, and we'll get to these other methods. For now, I'm here. So I hope this helps you guys in designing or knowing your next steps as far as designing your e-learning course is concerned. Thank you.